At Bellevue Girls Academy, we've looked at resilience through some of the work that we've done on student leadership. Student leadership as a way of building confidence. This is something which we have developed in order to give students the opportunity to develop their skills, to develop their talents, develop their abilities, really to prepare them to become confident future citizens. And we've done this through a number of means. We've built up over 3 or 4 years a system of student leadership, starting with a school council or an academy congress as we call it, which students apply for. And these students have gone on to represent the school, to really be sort of like a point between the staff and the students. Most notably, some of our students on the Academy Congress, particularly our head girl last year, our academy captain, she really listened to a great deal of student voice and put together a programme of fundraising which we called our Humanitarian Action Week, which enabled a lot of the student voice, which was talking about the need to raise money for charity. She sort of listened to that student voice, put it all together and put together a week's programme of fundraising. And that is something that drew in lots of other students, and actually another group of students also took on that idea, ran a second week of humanitarian fundraising. So at one level we've got a school council, we've got form captains, and we really make our student leadership really very inclusive. We make it as wide as possible, give it access to a wide range of students. Where there aren't opportunities for those students, we'll find them opportunities and give them the chance to come forward and develop their skills and develop their confidence. And in terms of resilience, I think this is something that is really, really valuable, because the students learn really important skills, like for example talking in front of an audience. They'll come forward, they'll present assemblies. We have a group of student leaders, for example, our wellbeing ambassadors, our equality, diversity and inclusion ambassadors, and they have the confidence to come forward, to present assemblies, to talk to groups of people. And I think this really is important in developing their resilience, building the skills for life and building their confidence too. So in terms of resilience at Bellevue, we've approached it through student leadership as one of the mechanisms to deal with that. In terms of what we've done with student leadership, this has been a project that has built up over a number of years. In terms of our wider vision, when we started looking at student leadership a couple of years ago, we looked at the situation post-COVID, and we looked at how some students during that time, during the time of lockdown and COVID, they felt that they had things that were done to them and didn't have so much of a voice. So we're really, really keen at Bellevue to really empower students, to give them more of a say and give them a sense that they could, get their voice, get their opinions out there, and really sort of have more of a stake in what they did. So that was sort of like the big vision behind what we've done, and I've been lucky enough to sort of implement this over a number of years with the help of my colleagues at Bellevue, and also start to take that over the last couple of years into BDAT and the work that BDAT has done. Starting with Bellevue, what we did is we started quite small. We looked first at our student council, which we called the Academy Congress. We thought it was really, really important to rebrand that, to make a new start. And we used the Academy Congress as our first sort of lever, if you like, for student leadership. And using the Academy Congress or the Student Council, this gave us a real insight into student views. And over time, they've become a really sort of vital part of what we do. They've given us an insight into the views of the student body, and also have become quite active in things like fundraising and charity work, and have enabled us to talk to students and get a student perspective on the things that worry them, and what their concerns are, and their thoughts and ideas for improving the school. So one of the key areas in which we've actually made progress with our Academy Congress or Student Council is we've sort of got to a point where our students are actually taking the lead on projects. It isn't just something where they're sitting down discussing what the things wrong with the school. They're actually taking the lead and being strong role models. So in terms of charity work, last year our head girl, or our academy captain, she led on a Humanitarian Action Week, which raised a number of thousands of pounds for charity. As a strong role model, her success was copied by other students who ran similar initiatives initiatives in terms of fundraising. Moving on from there, we have introduced a number of what we call ambassador roles. So we've got equality, diversity and inclusion ambassadors and wellbeing ambassadors, and they've evolved over time. Really, in the first instance, these were students who were really keen to challenge racism or to work on projects aligned to improving student mental health, and at first that really took the form of working on assemblies, planning assemblies and delivering assemblies. And I think this is really where the resilience comes in. The example that I gave you before about Humanitarian Action Week, this is developing students' skills and abilities and confidence for the future. And a lot of our students didn't feel that they had the resilience at first. When you listen to student voice, quite often the students will say things like, I didn't ever think I could talk in front of a large number of people. But actually, with a little bit of guidance, with a little bit of support, we've worked with our equality, diversity, inclusion ambassadors, we've worked with wellbeing ambassadors, and this is a project that brings in a range of staff who've supported with this, and they've gone from people who still deliver assemblies on things like LGBTQ History Month, Black History Month, but actually in some cases these students have gone on and played a wider sort of campaigning role. We work closely with Bradford Citizens, and I've been lucky in the role that I have currently with the Trust to extend that. We've worked with Bradford Citizens, Citizens UK on campaigning projects like Relationships Reset, challenging sexual harassment. For Bradford Citizens, we've given students, a real voice in terms of attending meetings with politicians. They've met with Tracy Brabin, the West Yorkshire Mayor, in order to push and trying to encourage her to take more action to improve young people's mental health. And in all these areas, students are developing their resilience, they're developing their inner strength, they're developing their confidence. For us at Bellevue, what we call the confidence strands are really, really important. Developing students as confident learners, confident future citizens, confident communicators. And I think that's where my role really comes in helping the students to develop as confident future citizens. Just to wrap up, the work we've done at Bellevue and across the Trust in terms of developing students' resilience, I think it's really key in helping those students preparing for the future, taking that step into leadership, taking that step to develop skills and talents, and putting them in a position where they can influence things. And I think really in terms of impact, the impact is most keenly seen when you talk to students, when you see the culture of the school, when you talk to the students, when they deliver assemblies. I'd advise people to have a look at the videos that we did a year or so ago, which evidenced student leadership across the BDAT secondaries. These are students unprompted talking about the work that they have done, talking about the student opportunities that they've partaken in and the skills that they've gained from it. And you can sort of see the proof in the pudding really of the impact of the work that's been done on student leadership and how it's developed the independence, the resilience, the ambition and the aspiration of those students.